Hello, Sarah. How are you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm good. I'm excited we get to chit chat, talk about health, talk about your company. But yeah, first let's talk about why are you an entrepreneur? What brought you into this? A little bit of you as well, family, where you live, all that fun stuff.
Absolutely. I currently live in Austin, Texas with my husband and my dog, a golden doodle, who is my son, as anybody with a dog knows. I am originally from the East Coast, so New York, New Jersey. And that really actually kind of stems from where my entrepreneurial background comes from. Uh, my father is a very successful entrepreneur. He had his own company. He's now retired. And so he kind of paved the way for all of us, myself and my siblings, to always become an entrepreneur. It's always been kind of ingrained in our brains. Like, if you're not starting your own thing, you're never going to truly build wealth. That's always been his motto. And I respect that. So my husband is working while I try to build this business because it's really tough in the beginning years. It's no joke. So I'm grateful to have him to be able to support us as we're trying to build Blossom a multi uh, into a very successful company.
Yeah, for sure.
For
I
lack
know
of a better
how
word.
how do you feel with skincare? It's a huge industry, very competitive. So like, did that make you nervous? Like, I'm sure you had this idea like of your product and yeah, going into a really competitive industry.
Yeah, it's funny. No, and I'll tell you why. I'm actually a little bit naive to the skincare market, which has helped me because I didn't really know going into it just how saturated it was. I came into it with a very specific product and a very specific niche, and I had blinders on, I guess. And I was like, I'm going to make this work because I know that there's a big opportunity here, and it's not quite saturated yet, in my opinion, from my market research. And everybody deals with severely dry skin. Well, not everybody, but people in the market like have that problem, and they can't really find uh, solutions that truly work. So having those blinders has allowed me to have that faith, and just keep kicking till we made it, really.
Yeah, and even when we met in person a couple weeks ago, and I even said that I'm like, I love that yours is so specific to dry skin. Just because I feel like most skincare lines, when you think of them, they do have a dry line, but they have the oily line, and I don't know. There's just a lot of companies. So I said when I think now of like dry skin, I'm gonna think of you guys because of that specific niche. So I love that you did that. And I know we're gonna go into more about your like morning routine, and I want you to share like the products of that you use on yourself. But did anything in your life and your health make you want to choose like more non-toxic ingredients, or what's the story behind that?
I grew up with what many girls grow up with, unfortunately. And so I was battling that for a long time. And coming out of that, and becoming healthier, I became overly obsessed with my health and making sure what I'm putting in my body is healthy. And then that kind of stretched over into my skincare products as well, and making sure that the ingredients are healthy enough to put on my skin, because when you deal with that, and you're overcoming that, it takes a toll on your body a lot. And you really have to navigate certain things, and you can become more sensitive or irritable. I have flare-ups from anything. I'll go outside and like all of a sudden my whole body's itchy. So quite literally it's annoying. But I really had to watch what I was using. In addition to that, I'm actually allergic to so many things outside. I took that test and I was like 48 out of 60 things I am highly allergic to. So on top of that, I had to make sure, balancing what's not going to make my skin irritate. And then also, kind of that health conscious side of things. So that really navigated the natural route for me.
Nice. I know. I love how usually for a lot of people starts with like food, and then then they start examining every aspect of their life, skincare and like products that they're putting on their skin being one of them. I'm like, yeah, it always starts. It's like a rabbit hole that you go down. You know, you're like, okay, I just want to choose like the best foods to fuel my body, and then like, what am I putting on my skin? So I
Yeah.
love that. So yes, walk us through your morning routine. Like, what does it look like to be an entrepreneur for you? Like what foods are you eating? What are you drinking? What lifestyle things are you doing? And of course, like what Blossom Central product are you using? Like what's a must-have?
I actually really believe in having a rigid schedule to make sure that you're just not working every minute of the day. So I have a very strict routine. Mornings, I will wake up around 6:15, 6:30, and I will go to a workout, whether that be weightlifting or, a core power class or, an alternate yoga class or something like that. Um, and then I'll come home and eat breakfast. We believe in very large breakfasts in this household.
Yes.
And so it's really important to us that we have a very nutrient dense breakfast. And we do not skip that meal for us. Otherwise, we're all very cranky. Uh,
Ditto.
After that, I will take my dog for a walk, and that's usually around 45 minutes. And I will actually leave my phone at home. That's really important to me to be able to disconnect, spend time in nature, spend time not thinking about work because it does consume your brain all, moments of the day. And then I'll come back and I will sit down at my desk and start working. I found that when I bring my phone or I start thinking about things, I get really anxious and stressed, and I find that it's just not healthy for my mental state. So leaving it at home has been such a game changer for me. Um,
Um,
from there, again, I don't skip meals. Meals are a cherished moment in my life. So I'll meal prep on Sundays. And so I'll just warm up my standard food. If I don't meal prep, I find that I just end up doing a lot of like frozen foods, and that's just not that delicious. So
all the
um,
chicken nuggets.
yeah,
It's like
well,
for the
thankfully
kids
no,
here.
but yeah, I think if I
Yeah,
had kids, I would have a lot more chicken nuggets in my house.
yeah, we have like the Applegate chicken nuggets and stuff, and they're always like our like well for them it might be like a lunch or like a snack, but for us it's like our crap. We don't have anything else. Like we need protein. We need a fast protein,
Yeah,
and that tends to be it. So I'm with you on that.
absolutely. Yeah. And, in terms of products, I always have my honey salve on my desk, pretty much in every room, actually. And so that's my go-to for just any time of day needing that boost of hydration. But in terms of the morning, we're releasing a face wash. So I've just been using that every single day because I have obviously some in my house. And then we're releasing a face cream as well. So I'll use my face cleanser and then my cream, and then I'll obviously use SPF. I'm not a makeup girly. I barely wear makeup. Put some on today, which is a treat
Rare.
for this. But normally I'll just put on some SPF and call it a day.
Nice.
I just can't be bothered. I'm not one of those people.
I know. No, I feel you. I literally just throw on my lashes and that's it. Like I don't put on any foundation, no eyeshadow or anything. I will say the eyelashes make me seem like I'm more put together than I actually am. And I'm like, I'm not, I totally just put on lashes and went on about my day. So I feel that. I never got that interest, one, and two, just I don't know how to as an adult, which it's so funny. I'm like, these 12-year-olds know how to do makeup better than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just never got into it. So I feel that. But I love that you said like foods is something very nourishing part. I fully understand that I cannot skip a meal either. And I also train very hard. It seems like you do too. So it's like you need that fuel. What is your go-to breakfast? Like right now, mine is like eggs with like mushrooms and peppers, a little bit of pepper jack cheese. Sometimes I'll throw some slices of ham in there. But that has like been my go-to for honestly the last 2 months. So I literally like every morning. What is your go-to currently, or just a fan favorite all the time?
Well, my husband and I have eaten the same breakfast midweek for maybe the last 6 years.
I love
I
that.
cannot get enough of it. We look forward to it. It's great. I'm a simple soul though, so It's an egg white omelet with onions and mushrooms, and then we'll do a chicken sausage. We change that up a little bit, either that or turkey bacon. We try to, keep
Nice.
it entertaining. With the side of avocado, and then we'll do like an Ezekiel bread as the carb.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, that's a classic. So it's not like you can even, I love breakfast. Breakfast is like my favorite meal of the day. I just love breakfast foods, even just like gluten-free pancakes. I don't know. I love all things breakfast. So I love that. You can't overdo it. And then
Actually, on
what
the
about,
weekend, sorry to interrupt. On the
oh,
weekends,
no.
we've also had the same breakfast. So midweek is different from our weekends, but it's always the same. So weekends are protein pancakes,
Oh,
Saturday, Sunday, and we make them from scratch. Actually, my husband does. So it's like the one thing he knows how to do.
oh, I love that. What's your protein of choice?
Like company wise or taste or flavor?
Both.
Um, that is a great question. I do
Oh, you
not
don't make
a
them.
name drop right now. I don't even know.
You
I'm
don't make
like,
them.
we've gone through so many.
I know. I do the same. I switch up my protein pretty often. Like I'll usually buy the same protein like 2 times in a row, and then I'll either hear about a company like, "Ooh, I want to try that one." Also, I mean, it's kind of research for us of just like understanding when people ask us, "Is this good?" And we can like mention the taste because especially if you're not doing any like animal based, a lot of like the like pea protein ones, like, yeah, some of
Oh
them
my
taste like
gosh.
chalk and some of them taste great. So it's like you never really know what you're gonna get. So that's why I like to try them all.
I have not found a single pea protein that I've enjoyed. They've all tasted like dirt to me.
Well, okay. Have you tried Truvani's?
No, actually, but I know that company.
Yes, I will say hers is actually pretty good. That's the one I'm currently doing. I would say that one is probably a top. And then the second one is Ko's. I don't know how you say it.
Oh,
KOS.
COS. Yeah.
Yeah, KOS. That is also pretty tasty for being a like vegan one. So in case you ever want to go down the rabbit hole, there is some good ones you can choose.
I know it's so
Um,
tough when when you have like regular whey to then like succumb to the plant-based ones where you're like, it's just not the same.
For sure. I know because whey is so creamy and I used to do it all the time. And then when I switched and then when I tried to like go back, so again, I like going like back and forth. I'll do some collagen too with any pea protein. So I will usually use 2 protein powders in one smoothie anyway. But when I try to go back to whey, I can do like cheese and other dairy, but just whey for some reason, try and go back, it made me gassy. And I'm like,
Oh,
dang it.
100%. The stuff is
Where did
not
this
good for
come
your
from?
digestive system. I totally agree. I just can't. So I don't actually eat protein powder that often. It's really only a weekend
The
because it hurts my
pancakes.
stomach, but I just can't get through plant protein. I just can't physically eat it. So I just find my protein in other ways.
Oh my gosh. Well, you'll have to tell me if you ever try those. I'm curious to see if you like that, end up liking them, or they still chalky to you.
I definitely will.
Um, but yeah, so I love that you mentioned that with technology too. That's so important. Do you have any technology rules around nighttime as well of like cutting yourself off? Because I know you said you really have to do some hard cut boundaries and lines to make sure you're not working every day, which I fully get that.
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard. Oh my gosh. I'll take my dog on a walk twice a day, every day, mornings and nights, and I always leave my phone at home. So at least it gives me that break around that, 4 p.m. mark. But I find that I do my best work and I'm most productive when I'm not just sitting at my computer for 8 hours straight. I'll work, and this is not, I don't recommend this to anybody. It's just not healthy. But I'll just work when I need to work and think something comes up, or if I have to do a lot of things, like I'll work typically the whole morning once I sit down, and then I'll take a break for lunch, and then I'll work maybe another 2 hours, and then I'll, do something errand, and then I'll take my dog or play with him for a little bit, and then I'll just go back to work. And then, it's kind of like, so I'm trying
Yeah.
not to work forcefully, more so work when I genuinely need to do things. And that's helped
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. What if you feel like you genuinely have to do things all the time?
I mean,
That's me.
sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm at my computer for like a solid 10 hours and I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah, I know. It's like you start working, you're like, wait, how is it already, a certain amount of time? It's like, oh my gosh, there's so not enough time in the day. But at the same time, you can get a lot done. What's your go-to favorite lunches? Are you guys the same with like your habits of like we have the same lunch every day?
Yeah, pretty much. So in terms of lunch, I'll meal prep and I'll do multi-veggie mix. And then I'll do a carb and a protein, or maybe 2 proteins to get us through the week. Which are always the same. It's just pretty much
Nice.
chicken breast. So I'll eat just a mix of that. And I'll change up the
Nice.
veggies every week. And sometimes I'm like, I've been eating butternut squash for the last 4 weeks in a row because I've just been like obsessed with it. So I'll get like obsessive about one vegetable and just not stop buying it. And then my husband's like, please buy something else. I don't want to eat this anymore.
That's honestly how I feel with smoothies. Like I get on one flavor train and I'm with it like for a good amount of time. Right now it's like a red velvet smoothie. So like adding beet powder and stuff to it. And it's just so good. And I can't stop.
I know, it's so hard. Once you have it, it's like you don't want to mess it up. You know what works already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not going
Yes,
to ruin your
exactly.
meal by like, experimenting.
I know. I'm curious, do you have like favorite restaurants here in Austin that like is a go-to for like grab and goes or whatnot that are, I don't know, your go-tos?
Yes. Yeah. So we have a rotation. So by Thursday to Friday night, we typically run out of food in the fridge. So I'll cook up until then. And then Thursday night, we'll either order local foods, which I really like their taco salad. It's the only thing I get there. It's insane. Oh, you've tried it. I'm so glad. It's so
Yes. Oh, no, not their taco salad, but I will definitely add that. I love their crunchy chicken sandwich. I think, oh my God, it's so
so
good.
good. I've tried that. But the taco salad ranks like top for me. We've eaten it. So now it's like truly the only thing we get. And I'll add a half portion of chicken to it because they do a homemade vegan taco crumbly thing. And it tastes like chili. It's insane. So, so good. And then you add the chicken and you get your protein. It's just wonderful. But then we'll do ziki, which they use ghee actually. Oh, good. I thought that was a
So
really
good.
cool little tidbit that they do to just keep healthier versus like oils. And I really like how they cook their chicken. It's very good. I'm so picky with it. It's really hard for me to find good chicken and they kind of nail it.
Love that.
Yeah,
Speaking of taco salads, Picnic, have you had theirs?
I
Or
have. I've gotten
their
it a
taco
few times.
bowl?
Yes, it's good.
Okay. Like in relation to local foods, better?
No,
Not like, no. Oh,
no. Local
okay.
food taco salad for me ranks top of the line for sure.
Good, good to know that I will have to try.
Yes.
I'm about to
I
say
wish
I
they paid me
love
for that
theirs.
endorsement.
Pay me in free food, please. That's right.
Yeah.
I always joke with my kids. I'm like, I basically work for our food budget, so it's fine. Well, I love that. And I love all the movement that you stated of that you do. Strength training. I know we talked about this too. You guys are very similar to us of like loving like, I don't know, just like the quote unquote biohacking things like sauna and not cold plunge, right? I remember us talking
For
about this.
me, yeah, my
Yes,
husband
ditto.
does it every single day. I just physically cannot get myself into it. It's
Yeah. Okay.
painful.
Ditto. Ditto. What do you feel like helps you? Because with entrepreneurs, I mean, we just wear so many hats and we do so many things. What is the thing that helps keep you on track, not letting work overcome you, but make sure that you're putting these self-care routines at play every single day? Like what keeps you doing that?
Well, now it's a routine, so it's a lifestyle. But in the beginning, it was really hard. This is going to be surprising, but my mentor, he really encouraged it. He would, anytime I was having a really stressful day and I was on the brink of just like wanting to quit, he would be like, stop what you're doing and go get a spa day. Like go get a facial or a massage or something. Just stop thinking about it and like feel better and then tackle it when tackle it head on really when you come back afterwards. And he's never been wrong. Um, that's just one example of like what he encourages, but he's always said, your mental health is more important than this business. Your mental health being strong is the only thing that's going to get this business to keep thriving. Focus on that and then focus on the business challenges and you'll see how much more you're able to overcome and accomplish by just being in a healthier mental state. And that's always kind of been ingrained in my brain. And it's really, really helped me kind of establish that baseline for what is it that I need at the bare minimum to be okay, I guess, to get through this,
Yeah.
because it is a tough
Yeah.
journey, as we both know.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so true. And I feel like sometimes people need that like intense situation or diagnosis to like really understand to like slow down. I always try to like, oh my gosh, how can we get there before that happens? Because it obviously still can be so many things still can be fixable and improved, but it's also just a little bit harder. And it is so true. Like if you love your business so much, you also have to like well, you are also separate. So, I mean, there's also something that we have to learn is to that our worth isn't tied to our business as well. So, knowing that like you just in general deserve self-care and feeling good and stuff like that. But if we really love our business, we have to be working because without you, you are the magic behind it, right? Like whether it's creating the product, I mean, so much of it falls on us. So it's a hard lesson to learn. And I know, especially in the beginning when you're how long have you had Blossom Essentials?
About 3 years, but I still
Okay.
struggle with that,
Okay.
disconnect of like, this business is not my worth, even though it's the only thing that I ever like spend time on aside from these, mental health
I feel that.
activities.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And I don't know, 8 years in, 6 years in, I don't know. I still struggle with it. It's gotten a little easier. Like I am quicker if there's a certain like mindset, it's quicker for me to turn it around and just like separate from that. But no, it totally is because it's like, oh my gosh, this is my baby. It's just like my kids, right? Like, yes, there are their own person and we are separate, but at the same time, like, how they grow up still reflects my parenting, right? So it's like the same for my business. I'm like, it's still a reflection of me in a sense. So it's just kind of hard to separate that for
Yeah,
sure.
without a doubt. Yeah. And then you have like one bad day and then you feel bad about yourself and you're like,
Yeah.
what am I doing wrong? And
Yes.
why is this happening? And I'm the worst and
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
never gonna make it as a CEO and blah 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 blah. And then the next day you're fine. And then I'm like, why do I do this to myself?
I know, I know. My husband he's so funny because even like whether it's financials or whatever, he's like, he'll show me charts of like, look at the year. And the year is up, right? Me, but like there's like a chart next to it and it's like your day. And it's literally the craziest roller coaster. And he's like, this is you, like this. And it's so me. That's what I focus on. And so I'm literally riding the roller coaster still to this day. Not as bad, but I still ride it. It's more of like a month to month. And he's like always having to remind me, and it like still hasn't gotten in my head of like, right, it's about like, just take a step back and you see it going up. It's not the total roller coaster of like the month to month that matters. It's like the overall like year. But yeah, it's hard for me to take a step back and look at that. So I'm like just constantly riding the roller coaster, like, this sucks. I'm gonna burn it all to be like, this is awesome. I'm on top of the world.
Oh yes. I think every entrepreneur goes through that. I have so
Yeah.
many female founder friends and we all are just like, we all feel the same and nobody ever wants to say it. And
Yeah.
then one person says it and then it's just like a trickle effect of
Yeah.
everybody chiming in like, wait, that's how I feel too. And it just feels so alone sometimes until you actually have those groups of people that you can genuinely trust to be vulnerable with. And I'm grateful that over the last year I've been able to find that,
Yeah.
because we can vent to each other and we're trying to be the epitome of a successful business and everybody's, you want them to look up to you and use you as an example or look for you to guidance. And then you're like, wait a minute, I need that too. I want to,
Yeah.
tell people why things are burning, to the ground right now. And I
Yes.
also want to tell them about the good things. And I don't want there to be like, I don't want to feel bad about saying the
Yeah.
good things. And I certainly don't want to feel bad about saying the bad things because I think we
Yeah.
should really be open about it.
For sure. What do you feel like in this like skincare business? What is the hardest thing that you struggle with, and what is the easiest thing in running the business? And this could be like marketing, making the product. Like, what is the hardest? What's the easiest?
Uh, at this very moment, because of the fires that we're dealing with, production is tough. Yeah.
Mm,
Product, our honey salve, the hydration for honey salve. That's our best seller. That's actually been our hero product from day one. That's what we launched with.
nice.
It is so underratedly complex to make. And we've dealt with every issue under the sun and we've switched, it's so natural and the ingredients are so finicky that to
Mm.
get the desired result, it's so each time, like repetitively, is nearly impossible. And so we're always like, okay, what's going to happen next? Or why is it this way? And it's so tough. So dealing with, and then also making sure that the ingredients are so clean, so gentle, you know, it's a really
Yeah.
fine line of like, boy, I wish I could just use chemicals to do the thing I needed to do. And like, oh, I need it to stay so clean and make sure that it's non-irritable.
Literally.
That's our entire demo, right? Myself included. So that's right now the difficult part. But in general, when that's not, when we finally nailed it and we're getting close, smooth sailing there. I love designing products. I love launching new products. It's so much fun.
Love that.
And I work with an incredible chemist out in Colorado who just has this like knack for just figuring out what works for my audience and like the perfect ingredients mix. And it's a beautiful relationship.
Oh, I love that.
um, so that's nice. But then, you know, other times, because every week is, you know, putting out a different fire, as we know. Um, Inventory, you know, making sure we have enough inventory.
Mm.
We've been scaling, and so we keep running out of inventory. And then I'm, you know, having to fundraise to make sure we can pay for that that massive PO that we just put down for like 100,000 units. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
every, you know, if you ask me every single week that same question, it would 100% be a different answer, without a doubt. Or like Facebook advertising, you know, because that's where we do the most of our advertising push. And
Oh,
Facebook ads
nice.
can be, the first 3 weeks of January were like the best we've ever seen in terms of CPAs, and now it's like the worst we've ever seen because you know, people are probably getting through their budgets, and
Yes.
every week is so different, and it's so nerve-wracking, and it certainly keeps you on your toes.
Yes. Is there a part in business though that like has always come really easy to you or that you really enjoy a certain part of the business?
I love conversion rate optimization. I love the digital side of
Oh,
things. That's like my background. So I'm actually a digital marketer at heart. That's where I come from.
okay.
So figuring all of that stuff out and finding like a winning kind of solution or puzzle piece, if you will, that all of a sudden things just like work. Oh, it's the best feeling in the world. And then
Oh,
uh what else? You know what? And I have an easy time working with all of the people that work for me, like communicating with them, delegating. I've gotten much better at delegating recently. So that's been really nice, just kind of being able to trust
yeah.
that I've built a team of people that are capable,
Yep.
and smart enough to actually like go figure it out.
Yes. Yes. Oh, for sure. Oh, I love that. And then last question before we close it out, do you have a resource like a podcast or a book that has, I guess more so on the entrepreneurial side that to this day you like think about it, you're like, that was one of the best books that I've read and really pivoted you forward in, I don't know, whichever way it is, finances, marketing, sales, I mean, whatever, delegation. What book is that or podcast?
So I've read a lot of books, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember the names of them. But I pull out like nuggets of information that I kind of just stick with me forever. So I can't name drop, which is fine. What I can say is there's actually a social media account. I do better with like small spurts of information that I can consume and like sit with me and really digest versus like a full book or a whole podcast, referencing a bunch of different tidbits that you have to like remember. I have such a hard time remembering everything. So there's a social media account. His name is Adam Grant. Yes, Adam Grant. He is, I think, like a psychologist or something, but he puts out a lot of content around empathy in the workplace and understanding
Mhm.
people's mindsets and how they operate, and the good and the bad of a business employee and boss role. And so it's really allowed me to understand how the person that's working for me kind of mentally operates, so I can adjust my way of thinking and uh, navigate those relationships to get the most out of them rather than making them
Mm,
fear me or something like that, you know, and then doing it out of fear versus doing it out of genuinely wanting to do the work, and making sure they're, you know, they're praised often. I'm constantly telling people when they do a good job versus, you know, a lot of times bosses will only tell you when you're doing a bad job and you just like
yeah.
want to cry every day. I've really incorporated a ton of praise around making around, you know, people's good efforts and stuff like that, and that's actually helped me a lot.
Nice. I know. And I love the person like all of us like learning how people like tick, right? Like their personalities, what like even like their love language. I think I definitely have had my employees like take that test too and just see like what makes them feel like loved. Whether is it words, is it gifts, is it just, whatever it could be. And I think that's really important, just even beyond business, like just knowing how to communicate with people, to love on people. Like I think ultimately, like that's, I don't know, that's the goal, right? At least that's especially the goal for us, doing what we do, loving on people constantly and being a part of their healing journey. So I love that. He sounds really familiar. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'm following him, but I am gonna look after because that name just sounds really familiar. But I love learning stuff like that. I love like people watching.
I know, me too.
Seeing how it makes people tick. But where can we find you? How can we support you? Give us all your deets on social and your website.
Yes. I know I barely talked about Blossom. This is like the worst like promotional
No.
podcast ever. I'm so bad at that. I'm like, that's not my expertise. It's like figuring out how to like pop my products into conversation. They're just great. You should try them.
They are. I can attest.
So our website is tryblossom.com, TRY. Our brand name is Blossom Essentials. And then our handle is try_blossom for Instagram. And then I think it's just at Blossom Essentials for, let me triple check on that for TikTok though. But
I think I have Try Blossom Essentials.
Oh, that's correct then. Yeah.
But like all one word.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it makes you feel any better too. Like this podcast typically isn't, even the entrepreneurs I interview, they typically aren't too much about like certain products or services, what they offer, because we're talking about like their health. But I think you did it great. I did have one question I totally forgot to ask. Is there a type of person that is your products are not for?
Well, the honey set for sure, not for oily skin. Definitely not. Unless the oil stems from dry skin, which is actually possible because your skin is so dry, your body overproduces sebum. So it just, but that's kind of like really getting granular with it. So I try to just not get too technical. But in general, our other products are just really designed around like super irritable, reactive skin. So if you just have any sort of that,
Nice.
or if you just have regular skin that you like, really clean hydration products were your go-to.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with me for a little bit.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so great.